me, going to China was a real thrill. I thought it was going to be vacation. It turned out to be much more than a vacation. This entire trip was just like Fear and Loathing in China. It was nonstop.
I'd seen some photographs of this mountain, Siguniang. It's an incredibly beautiful peak. So I put together an expedition, and I figured we needed probably 4 people.
Jim Giannini is one of my all-time heroes. He's the kind of guy you want to be with when things go bad. Jack Tackle was a young alpinist trying to decide what he wanted to do with his future. Kind of the new kid coming up.
I'd never been over 14,000 feet, so I was very much the rookie.
Jim Kanzler was a bit crazy, and I liked Kanzler a lot.
Good technical climber. He was a complicated guy.
Certainly an entertaining character. Kim had been to some 20 Himalayan expeditions.
Just traveling nonstop from one mountain range to the next.
He was this imposing force, so I was pretty intimidated by Kim.
And I invited Greg, and he came along for the fun.
I was the only non-professional climber with a full-time job.
We don't come out of this looking like the type of climbers America should have sent over for the inaugural climbs in China. It was that era where there had been a lot of experimentation.
So we started out on our trip with quite a good medical kit. We kind of just cut loose pretty heavily.
We were young enough to still feel bulletproof. We got a little bit out of control.
We all got to Tokyo, and we thought we had a 27-hour layover.
We had forgotten this thing called the dateline.
So we went and got a hotel, had some fun.
The next day we went back to the airport and they said, well, your plane left yesterday. And that's kind of how the trip started. And it continued that way for 5 weeks.
We fly to Shanghai, and the plane is surrounded by Chinese military guys with machine guns.
It was pretty exciting. China had been closed to Westerners for quite a few years.
The secret police were always watching us, everywhere we went. People would come up to us on the streets. They were just curious.
And then the Chinese, they loved to toast.
They forced us to toast with Maotai, 100 proof liquor that's sort of like gasoline with oil put in it. But it's ceremonial and we drank tons of it.
Chinese say, no, we like the Russians because they drink with us, prove that you can drink with us too. Well, goddamn it, we'll beat the Russians.
Our travel in, things broke a lot. Cars broke, roads broke, people broke, drivers broke.
I think it took us 2 days to get up there, and it's not very far.
Fortunately, our leader cleverly bought 100 bottles of large Tsingtao beer, which we were able to drink.
It's a beautiful mountain.
It's granite, steep, a graceful, beautiful, technical peak. No one had ever climbed it. No one really ever attempted it. And there it is, and saying, come get me.
We picked out the line in the middle of the face.
There was technical climbing the whole way.
First part of it was mostly rock. So we're either rock climbing in our plastic boots or we're rock climbing in our crampons. One team leading, and the other team of 2, was hauling and jugging on the ropes below, but moving, together up the hill at the same time.
We got up to an area pretty high up. We could see what lay above. So I thought we were sort of in position to get it done.
But it was perfectly set up. We could have made the summit easy the next day and a first ascent of a great line.
Conditions were not ideal.
It was hard work because we had so much shit. Our packs were pretty heavy. I remember just being worked.
It's kind of cold, it's gray. There had been a little rockfall coming down near us at night, but I thought climbable conditions.
Jim and I wanted to go up.
Jim Kanzler and Kim didn't think the same way.
And things sort of, came to a head.
So we had a kind of a lively discussion up there on the ledge.
That became more than just verbal discussion.
I pulled Jim Kanzler out of the tent, and I'm having her, "What do you mean you're not going on?" And I'll never forget what he said. He said, "Oh, throw me off now, throw me off. I'd rather die fast than die slow."
When there's some disagreements about stuff, it tends to deflate your level of enthusiasm.
So we all went down, because I respected them. I respected their opinions.
It was a little too dangerous, but we all said it begrudgingly when we turned around.
I think they may have been up on the mountain for maybe 9 days or so. There was a bit of animosity between some of the guys.
We were disappointed, we were pissed, we weren't getting along, and so it was not a rose garden at the end.
We traveled back to Beijing. We decided that we wanted to really have some fun.
As the phrase goes, alcohol may have been involved.
We were off the wall. We really were.
There was a special group of Secret Service guys who followed us around. We could sneak out and bypass them by crawling out the windows.
We were hosted by the Hall of the People for a dinner, and that's when things went sideways.
Women were dressed in minks and pearls and jewelry, and about that time, I think Jim Kanzler had just about enough of Jim Danini.
Oh, he was drunk as a skunk.
And Jim walked over behind him and gave him a big kick and flew Kanzler into the koi pond.
And he came up, I'll never forget this, with a lily pad on his head, spitting water out.
So in frustration, he picked up one of the glass tables and he just threw it, and it landed in the dance floor. It exploded into shards of glass.
All of a sudden, I was asleep or something. All of a sudden, I woke up to a crash. And
The entire ballroom just erupted into a little bit of a brawl, and it was like a bomb had gone off. I'm thinking, any moment now the police are going to come and we're going to end up in China prison for the rest of our lives.
I mean, it was a real ugly moment.
anyway, those things were not proper in those days, or maybe any days.
It was a good example of maybe not taking responsibility myself as much for my actions as I should have.
But we escaped. We made it out and made it back to our hotel. It was an epic experience.
It's fun to get in trouble with nice people.
The next morning, they told us to pack up, do not come back to China.
The expeditions I went on after that, I was much more careful.
In the aftermath of the Siguniang trip, everybody's lives changed. I ended up with a very bad case of hepatitis.
I got this horrendous stomach parasite.
I think Kim got pancreatitis.
Pretty sure that's the last major alpine trip Jim Kanzler took.
Jack came home and his wife had left him a note that she had left him.
I was only gone 4 weeks, and I come home and the fucking house is empty. And I'm like, wow.
Others lost wives, girlfriends, everything else, but it was all worth it.
I still, look at it with fond memories. And I don't regret any of it. Because, it doesn't do you any good if you do. But you just know that you learned from it.
But the main thing is these relationships, life and death, deep relationships you have with your partners.
The bond you develop climbing with your climbing partners is one to really be treasured.
Being here 35 years later with these guys is amazing for me. I mean, I love these guys. I would do anything for them. They're friends for life. I cannot see them for years, and it feels like it's just been a day. It means everything to me.